Hello and welcome back. Before I begin, I'd like to give a big thank you to my latest subscriber. I'm not sure if you pronounce it Nethabug or Nethabug or possibly Nathabug, but however you pronounce it, thank you very much for subscribing. I really appreciate it. And now, on with the haul. First up are my selections from the Johns Hopkins University Library, and unfortunately I have not had a chance to see any of these 6 films yet, so it's going to be a little bit brief for this section. First I got Poetry, which is a fairly new South Korean film about a woman who, in an attempt to allay her Alzheimer's symptoms, begins taking a poetry class, and apparently also uncovers a dark family secret. It's supposed to be really good, and I just love this cover. And next up, I guess I should warn you, this somehow turned out to be the week of the steamy video box art, so next up I have The Bubble, which is a film by Eitan Fox, who directed a film that I believe I featured in one of my earlier film hauls called Walk on Water, which I really enjoyed, and I decided to give another one of his films a go. This one, unfortunately, already has a built-in disadvantage in that it does not feature one of my favorite actors, Lior Ashkenazi, who is in Walk on Water, but I'm hoping it'll be good. And then I got the Spanish film Jamón Jamón, which is about a conniving mother-in-law-to-be who decides to interfere with her son's impending marriage and tries to get I think one of the notorious Lotharios of the town or something to lure her daughter-in-law to be away. And what really interested me in this was that Javier Bardem, who's one of my favorite actors, is in it. And next I got Something Wild, which is directed by, directed by Jonathan Demme, and features Melanie Griffith and somebody else, Jeff Daniels and Ray Liotta. And this is about a man who hooks up with a former classmate at a high school reunion and then gets in trouble with, I believe, her volatile husband, ex-husband, something like that. Haven't seen it yet, obviously. And this is one of those movies that I've sort of been planning to watch at some point, and Criterion just released it and Hopkins just got it, and I thought, what the heck? And next up is Kess, a film by Ken Loach, and one of the acclaimed directors whose work I have not really been able to get into. I've only seen a couple of his films, but this one is supposed to be really good. It's about a young working class boy who takes to raising a kestrel. And from Hopkins, last up, I got Romance of a Horse Thief, which is a historical drama starring Yul Brynner, and you can't really go wrong with Yul Brynner. And then from University of Baltimore, I got The Conspirator. This one I have not yet seen, and it looks like one of those films that could go either way. It could either be really good, or I may just wind up turning it off halfway through. It's directed by Robert Redford, which could be good or could be bad. He's done some really enjoyable films that are very Hollywood, but still good Hollywood. Quiz Show, River Runs Through It, The Horse Whisperer. Then he's done some not-so-great films like Lions for Lambs, and some that just have no interest for me, like The Legend of Bagger Vance. So we shall see. This is based on the true story of Mary Surratt, or Surratt, don't know, haven't seen the film yet, who was tried for being one of the conspirators in the assassination of Abraham Lincoln. And it has a decent cast, Robin Wright, Kevin Kline, Tom Wilkinson, so we shall see. And finally, a film I have actually watched. And I got Another Year from the Stevenson University Library. This is the latest film from director Mike Leigh, and it's funny because it seems like every film Mike Leigh comes out with, the critics go crazy for it. I mean, just every single film he's come out with in the past decade or more, the critics are just like, this is the best film ever, etc., etc. And it's like, they can't all be the best film ever, can they? And this one I liked. I tend to like Mike Leigh's films, and if you like Mike Leigh's films, you'll probably like this one as well. But I did not think it was just the greatest film ever, which is how some people seem to be characterizing it. It's really a slice-of-life comedy drama that takes place over the space of a year. about a married couple and their sort of quirky and occasionally rather depressing friends and family. And if you've never seen a Mike Leigh film before, I'm not sure I'd recommend starting with this one. My three favorites are Happy-Go-Lucky, Naked, and Topsy-Turvy. If you see those three, you'll probably get a good taste of the range of his filmmaking, and you will have a good idea of whether you like him or not. But I would certainly recommend this. Oh, and in case you're curious, I do not, in fact, have a Blu-ray DVD player, but this is kind of cool because it has the Blu-ray disc, but it also has just a normal DVD disc for we lowly people who just have kind of the old school equipment. And last, from the Sights and Sounds department of the Enoch Pratt Free Library, I've actually seen 2.5 out of 3 of these films. First was Il Posto, a classic Italian film directed by Ermanno Olmi. And this was, I've been actually feeling a little guilty because I've been sort of neglecting Criterion Collection lately in my borrowings. And this was in their new acquisitions, and I just thought, what the heck? And picked it up, and I wound up being really, really pleased. It's sort of a neorealist film, and I tend not to be the world's biggest neorealism fan. I tend to just, I don't know, for whatever reason, it just doesn't grab me. But I really, really liked this one. And the description is a bit misleading because it suggests that it's about this young boy's or young man's working in this bureaucratic post office. And it's really more about his trying to get a job in the post office in the first place. And it's just great. If you've ever been through one of these really crazy long bureaucratic procedures where you go in for testing and you do the interview and you have to do this, and you have to do that, and you have to do the physical exam, etc. It just is a great portrayal of that. And just a really nice slice of life comedy drama, really great believable performances. I would highly recommend this. And next I got the latest incarnation of Jane Eyre. This one I was attracted to first of all because Jane Eyre is one of my favorite books of all time. And I've seen pretty much all of the film adaptations that have been done so far. I think there was one from the 1930s that I haven't seen, and a TV adaptation from the 1980s that I have not yet seen. The library has it, so I plan to get that eventually. But it's just one of those great stories that it's always interesting to see filmmakers interpret. And this I found a little bit offbeat. It's kind of boring. I wound up I'm really liking it, but it is a little bit boring. In fact, if I had been watching this in the theater, I think I would have been fidgeting, looking at my watch, etc. I think it's probably better suited to home viewing. They kind of took, the director and screenwriter kind of took all of the really capital R romantic elements and the more gothic elements of the book and of a lot of the other adaptations and sort of did away with them. And I don't know, that makes sort of a flatter viewing experience. And also, I'm not sure I would recommend this to people who hadn't read the book, just because there were parts that I felt like they really skimmed over and sort of did in shorthand, and if you read the book, it was like, oh, okay, that's when that happened, that's when that happened. I'm not sure, though. Maybe if you hadn't, your brain would just sort of work with the film and fill in the parts you missed. But I really I would still recommend this. It sounds like I'm saying, oh, don't say this. But I thought what they did with it was really interesting, and in making it more muted and realistic, they brought some of the more interesting aspects of characterization and social aspects to the forefront. And I really like Michael Fassbender, who plays Mr. Rochester, and Judi Dench was in it, who's always terrific, and she plays Mrs. Fairfax, the housekeeper. And I was really pleased that in the novel, Jane Eyre is supposed to be really plain looking, and a lot of the times in these adaptations, they don't really, they'll pull her hair back in a bun and part it in the middle or something as sort of a concession to her being supposed to be plain, but she's not really that plain. In this film, they really made up the lead actress to look pretty plain, and I just kind of appreciated that they didn't try to glamorize it, Hollywoodize it. So if you're not looking, if you're going into this looking for some huge, sweeping, gothic, blockbuster movie, you'll probably be disappointed, but I would still certainly recommend this. And last but not least, I got this film Wicker Park, which, yeah, why on earth would I want to see this? Here's why I wanted to see this. Last week, I saw a film called The Reckoning, which was from, I believe, 2004. And it was just a great, great film. It's set in medieval times and stars Paul Bettany and Willem Dafoe. And it's about a priest on the run who falls in with a group of traveling players who wind up investigating a murder in this small town and putting on a play to dramatize the murder. And it was just a great film. I absolutely loved it. And if I really love a film, the first thing I do is I look up the director to see what else he or she has done, and I look up the screenwriter to see what else he or she has done. And I saw that the director had done this little thriller from, I think, okay, I don't remember what year it was, I'm sorry, but from some time ago. And I remember when this came out, I thought it looked kind of dumb. And then a little bit later, I saw a preview for it in front of something else and thought, yeah, you know, that looks okay. It's not high on top of my list. But then I saw that this director, whose name is, all right, now I am forgetting it. I'll put it in the video description. I'll look it up. I think it's like Douglas McGuigan, something like that. This director had done it, so I immediately went out to try to get it. And I'm about halfway through it, and it's okay. It's a little bit confusing and a little bit silly, but it's kind of fun. I wouldn't really dissuade anybody from seeing it if you're in the mood for some sort of mindless entertainment. Oh, and in case you're curious, the reason I'm now checking out these fee things is because I'm now doing some work for the library, and so we get to check out the fee ones for free. So that's very exciting. And if you've made it this far, thanks for watching, and I hope you'll join me for my next video.